My name's Olivia. I'm the Green Party candidate for Esher and Walton. I want to challenge the status quo. Currently, politicians see their job role as to get elected and then re-elected. This leads to short-term, disjointed plans. The Green Party have joined up plans that work in the short term as well as the long term. Our policies make economic sense, but more importantly, they make moral sense. In Britain, nearly half our wealth is owned by just 10% of people. Since the coalition have been in power, the 1,000 richest people in this country have doubled their wealth. This, whilst many of us have experienced pay freezes, and we've all suffered cuts to our public services. These cuts impact most on the poorest people. Why are we cutting these services whilst the rich are getting richer? When the Green Party spends money, it's an investment for the future. For example, we will provide 500,000 new social rented homes by 2020. This isn't throwing money away. These homes are an asset that we can keep. Our policies to insulate people's homes and invest in renewables saves money year on year. We now know that wind power is the cheapest form of energy. Onshore wind farms cost just £83 per megawatt hour. Compare this to coal, which costs £166. In 2013, the UK government gave $1.2 billion to fossil fuel subsidies. From a purely economic outlook, this spending on a finite resource is a waste, whereas spending on renewable energy is an investment for the future. Climate change is happening. We cannot ignore it. Another thing that we can't deny is globalisation. We can't just shut our borders and ignore the world's problems, especially when we have caused them. In 2010, the UK government identified 26 countries of concern for their human rights. In that same year, the UK approved arms export licences to 16 of these countries, including Libya, Israel, Pakistan, Russia and Saudi Arabia. Some of the other parties will tell you that we need to spend billions on nuclear weapons to deter the threats that these countries pose. Surely a better solution would be to stop supplying them with weapons. On the 19th of April, more than 800 people died when one boat capsized. I'm sure the news was as upsetting to you as it was to me. I'm heartbroken for those we lost, but also those who survived this unimaginable ordeal. More than 1,700 migrants are believed to have drowned so far this year. This is because our politicians decided to stop funding search and rescue missions in order to deter migrants from crossing. By the end of March, nearly 500 people had died in this way. That's 10 times as many as the same period last year. We knew that the deterrent wasn't working, but we carried on sentencing these people to death. Shame on David Cameron for allowing this. Shame on those MPs who didn't speak out. Green MP Caroline Lucas wrote to our Immigration Minister last year, pleading him not to stop the search and rescue missions. Green politics is about being proactive, not reactive. Some people criticise the Green Party as idealists, but we are pragmatists too. Each time the government implements a short-sighted policy, we take a step backwards. The Green Party see the devastating implications of austerity. We see the global instability caused by UK foreign policy and the irreversible harm of ignoring climate change. We can afford places at school for your children. We can afford free university. We can afford our National Health Service. And we can afford a public transport system that works on time. We can afford to invest in renewable energy. What we cannot afford is for our society to become any less equal. We can't afford any more families to be pushed into poverty, and we can't afford to leave the next generation with no public services, no green spaces, no wildlife and no natural resources. But there is good news. You can vote for a party that's caring and principled. You can vote for a party that's courageous enough to stand up for what's right. Please join me in voting Green on May the 7th. Vote Green against the cuts against the hypocrisy of the political powers, against the xenophobia of UKIP. Please join me in voting Green for the common good.